Hi friends, welcome back to the Avocado Toast Budget. If you are new here, my name is Lexa, and today get a snack or get a drink or both because we are taking a deep dive into the world of MLMs. Honestly, this is a video I have been wanting to talk about for a very long time here on my channel. It's something that I am really passionate about. I've been passionate about it for years, and I do get a lot of questions about what my opinions are on MLMs, if they're good side hustles, if I think that people should join them, if I've ever done one, so I want to talk about it. We've got a lot to cover here though, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, you might even be able to tell from the title or the thumbnail of this video, I haven't really decided on either one of those, that I'm very anti-MLM. I have been for years. I have watched it destroy people's lives of the people that I love. So I might as well just like get that out there that this is definitely coming from a perspective of someone who does not believe in the business structure, does not believe that they are good side hustles. But I want to make sure that I provide you all with context, even if you know a lot about MLMs, if you don't know anything about them. I want this video to be helpful. That way you can see where I'm coming from, you can see the facts that are out there, and why I don't believe that they are a good business model or something that you should be getting into. First, I want to cover what even is an MLM. A lot of times when I would like make TikTok videos about this or post on Instagram, people would think that MLM stands for men loving men, which is another version of MLM, but that's absolutely not what we are talking about. We're talking about multi-level marketing. If you haven't heard of multi-level marketing, it is also referred to sometimes as direct sales or network marketing. I've also heard people talk about it and say that it's affiliate marketing, but those two things are not the same thing. So if someone talks about affiliate marketing, it doesn't necessarily mean they're talking about MLMs, but commonly people in MLMs say that they are doing affiliate marketing when that's not true. So a multi-level marketing company is basically just the structure around the company, and the whole idea is that these direct sellers, consultants, coaches, whatever it is that they want to call themselves, are encouraged to build what they call a downline, which is basically just recruiting people underneath them to also sell for this company and recruit more people. A really big important part to know about this is that the majority of the money made, if there is any money to be made, comes from recruiting other people to also sell the products and to also build their own teams. Chances are you have probably had an interaction with an MLM, whether you know it or not. Some common ones that you might have heard of are Beachbody, Herbalife, Monet, Pure Romance, Mary Kay, Amway, Avon, Young Living. I could keep going on and on and on. But those are really some of the most popular ones. So just a quick little history about MLMs. Amway is probably one of the more well-known ones for both the fact that they have some really sketchy and unethical practices, but also because they were one of the first. Definitely not the first. I don't know exactly which one it is, but I know it was started in the late 1800s. Amway started around 1955 to 1959. I've seen different reports depending on the sources that I've looked at, but somewhere in the 1950s. And even though MLMs are heavily associated with social media now, obviously back in the 1950s, that is not how they started. Back then, it was really about like door-to-door sales, recruiting your friends, throwing parties in person, that kind of thing. So if your friend has ever invited you to a Pure Romance party or to come check out the business that they are a part of and tried to get you to like sell the products or sell their essential oils or buy their essential oils, that is an MLM. Before everything went down with the pentagram that we are in now, parties still existed. They weren't as popular. Social media was definitely the thing that people in MLMs used to promote their product and the company and to get you to join their downlines, but they also did throw parties as well. I think those, I'm going to go ahead and guess, have kind of phased out since everything kind of started with that, but who knows, we might kind of see that pick up again. But all of this is to say MLMs are extremely popular. They are common. Over 20 million people are a part of or have been a part of an MLM. So when talking about MLMs and their unethical business practices, something that comes up a lot is the difference between MLMs and pyramid schemes. A very small definition of what a pyramid scheme is, because you could really get into the nuances of it, is basically just a business structure where people are recruiting others to sign up as their recruits, their downline, and the people who sign up have to pay usually a pretty hefty fee, and it's the people who are at the top who are making money off of all of those people at the bottom who are paying these fees. And a lot of times people who are in MLMs or pro MLM or support MLMs will talk about how MLMs are not pyramid schemes because MLMs have products. You might have heard of some of these products before: Shakeology with Beachbody, Beachbody's On Demand, Monet sells like shampoo and skincare and hair care and that kind of stuff. And a lot of these consultants will say that an MLM is not a pyramid scheme because they do offer products. So while yes, MLMs do typically have products and pyramid schemes traditionally do not, the structure of them is what is important and is what is very similar. Because the reality of it is that we'll explore here a little bit later is that it is really nearly, if not completely impossible to truly succeed in an MLM without recruiting other people to also sell and build a team. According to the FTC, 99.6% of people either make no money or lose money in MLMs. And a common argument against this is that, of course, there are going to be people who are not succeeding because they don't try, they don't put enough effort into the business. But I just want to kind of like link a comparison between that, because in my eyes, and what I think is pretty logical to assume, if that 99.6% was just because people weren't trying hard enough, or they didn't set themselves up for success, or they didn't want it enough, or whatever it is, then logically we would see similar rates of failure amongst small businesses and new businesses. But that's just not the case. Only 20% of small businesses fail within the first year, or make no money or lose money. That is a huge difference between 99.6% of people. And to me, that makes it pretty clear it's not just about work ethic or being good at the job or how much you put into it. There's obviously something else at play here if those numbers are so different between your success rate in an MLM, which is around 0.4%, and your success rate building your own small business, which is around 80% within the first year. And that is not just my opinion. That is not just me over here thinking that there's something a little suspect. There have been tons of MLMs that have been sued by or shut down by the FTC because they were operating as pyramid schemes. One example is an MLM that was known as Advocare that just got shut down by the FTC because they were operating as a pyramid scheme. I will link more information on that lawsuit down in the description box below, and along with all of the other resources that I used to research this video. But Advocare was not just a one-off. There was another MLM, I think it is pronounced Neura or Neura, I think it had two different names. I'm looking down to make sure I get that right. Again, that is one that was allegedly running as a pyramid scheme according to the FTC. And the reason that this is an issue is because even if you happen to be one of those 0.4% of people who make money in an MLM, you are doing so at the expense of everyone else on the bottom who is making no money or losing money and putting in a ton of work and effort into this thing that they were told they would no matter what be successful, and it was a given and a no-brainer, and they were told all of these amazing things, which we'll get more into like the recruiting tactics a little bit later. But I just want to point out why this is such an issue. Even though there are 0.4% of people who succeed, those 0.4% of people are doing so because there are other people who are losing a lot. As we talked about though, one of the common arguments is that MLMs cannot be considered a pyramid scheme because pyramid schemes don't have products and MLMs do. So let's go ahead and talk about the products in MLMs. Now there is an MLM for pretty much anything that you could possibly think of. There's an MLM for life insurance, for workouts, for diet, teas, jewelry, hair care, clothing, literally anything. However, the more research that I was doing on these products, I realized that there's a serious lack of regulation and standard for these products in MLMs. Not only are these products just inherently overpriced because they have to be in order for the company to make money. How MLMs work are you get paid both to recruit people, but you also do get a percent of the things that you sell. So you make a little bit of commission off of the products that you're selling. But the reason that they have to make the products so expensive is because you are also getting a percent of the people below you and the products that they sell, and then probably the people below them, and it depends on the exact MLM structure, but usually that goes down to like 4 or 5 different levels. So one person could be making a cut from hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people in the sales that they are making. So because that many people need to get a cut, obviously the company needs to make sure that they adjust the price accordingly, so they have to raise the prices on these products. And let's be honest here, the company doesn't actually care about the products. The products are there so that the company can make money off of the structure of an MLM, not because they actually care about the products themselves. Rodan and Fields, which is a pretty popular MLM, is under a class action lawsuit right now because they did not disclose some of the harmful effects of one of the ingredients in their lash serums. And when you talk about MLMs in lawsuits, you definitely can't talk about it without talking about Monet and the copious amounts of lawsuits and allegations they have against them about their products causing hair loss and other terrible things. Monet also is under a lot of scrutiny and lawsuits as well for false claims about their products, saying that they are sulfate free when they are not sulfate free and other things like that. But you add an extra layer of harm onto these products because you have a lot of consultants and distributors who are selling these products without any formal training. As we talked about before, MLMs sell tons of different products. A lot of them will sell vitamins or shake meal replacements, workouts, or essential oils. And a lot of times there is absolutely no required training that would give people the education and certification they need to actually be advising people on these products. You don't need to be a cosmetologist to sell for Monet. You don't need to be an actual coach to sell for Beachbody, even though they call themselves coaches, which I think is really dangerous. But unfortunately, the word coach is something that is not regulated at all, and pretty much anyone can call themselves a coach of anything. And because these distributors are 1099 contractors, which means they are not employees, a lot of times these MLM companies don't need to take responsibility for the things that the distributors are saying. We saw this a lot at the start of the parallelogram that is going on, where distributors were claiming that their essential oils could cure whatever is going on right now or could kill all of this bacteria, and it was just absolutely not true. We've seen claims that they can cure cancer and other really harmful and completely unfounded claims by the distributors. And this is very common, so common that the FTC actually sent out a warning letter to a lot of MLM companies, warning them about making false claims, especially around the health benefits of their products or the ingredients or the certain claims that they are making about what their products can do for people. And a lot of times people who are anti-MLM will talk about the business structure, which I think is extremely important, and they choose to focus on the business structure because there's that argument from people who are pro-MLM who say, no, we're not like pyramid schemes, we have products. And because they want to focus so heavily on the fact that they have products, other people try to show the reasons why they are like pyramid schemes because the entire business structure is very similar. So I totally understand the want to focus on that, and I think that it's extremely important. But because of the harmful effects that these products can have, especially with how they are dealt, how they're manufactured, how they are sold, I think it's really important to talk about the products as well. So I wanted to make sure to throw that in there for you guys. The overwhelming issue with MLMs is the business structure itself, but because of the business structure and because of these unethical practices, it has also kind of leaked into their products as well. Now let's talk about the big question that I get asked a lot since I am a budgeting channel. Are MLMs profitable? Short answer for the CEOs, yes. For the distributors, no. Unless, of course, you're in the top 1%. The majority of MLMs have something called an income disclosure statement. And basically, this is supposed to be usually like a graph or a paragraph about the typical earnings that one might see inside that particular MLM. Now, a lot of times they will manipulate the data to make it seem one way or another, because if you know anything about statistics, you know that depending on how you do averages and depending on how you run the math on things, you can make it sway one way or another. And they also try to complicate the graphs to make it like almost annoying to have to try to break down. But when you start breaking down these graphs and these numbers, you see how awful they are. One of the ones that I like to show people is It Works. One, because It Works is a large company. They are one of my most hated MLMs, but because they are a large MLM and they have a lot of data to go off of. And I think that this graph is one of the easier ones to kind of comprehend, and it's abysmal, the numbers that they give. Right here you can see that 80% of the distributors made an average of $43 a year. That is $43 a year. And I want to point out that with It Works, you have to purchase a $99 startup kit. Also, most of the time your upline is going to encourage you to buy the products. That way you can talk genuinely about the products, show people how you are using them. And because of that, the company also has a minimum of $80 of products that you have to either buy or sell, and that is per month. So let's do the math on that. Your $99 one-time starter kit times $80 a month for a whole year. Even if you didn't buy any other products that entire year above the $80, which it's very easy to hit only $80 with MLM products because they're so expensive, you would have spent $1,059 and you would have made $43 that whole year. So on average, 80% of people in It Works are losing money. And this is not something that they talk about when they're recruiting you. Oftentimes when people recruit people into MLMs, they talk about how amazing it is, how you can be your own boss babe, quit your day job, work from home. You can do it anywhere because you just work on your phone and you can be financially free. They offer the world, but the numbers don't back that up. And I did touch on this earlier in the video, but I want to make it extremely clear that if you are an MLM, you do not own your own business. Again, that is something that people often use as a selling point of joining their downline and their team in this MLM, is that you are your own boss babe, your own CEO, you own your own company, and that is absolutely not true. You're a 1099 contractor, which just means that you are an independent contracted worker for whatever MLM that you join. You don't own the business, you have no say in the products, how much you sell them for, how you market, the packaging, the distribution, anything like that. In many MLMs, they make this extremely clear in the fine print of the terms and conditions that you sign. And it's just pretty logical because there is a CEO of these companies and it is not you. And with that, I want to make it really clear that I have nothing against each individual distributor personally. A lot of times, these are people who have been manipulated and lied to and found themselves in a situation that is not good. I do think that there are a lot of manipulation tactics that they use themselves, and I don't agree with those, but this is nothing against people in MLMs personally. That's not the point of this. There are good and bad people in this world, just like there are good and bad people in MLMs, and none of this is meant to call out people on an individual level. So with MLMs, while it might be true that in theory you could make some money by just selling the products and you wouldn't have to recruit, a lot of times the income disclosure statements will show you right off the bat that that just logistically does not become possible in an MLM. In order for you to make any real money that would compensate for the amount of money that you're spending on taxes and just the fact that your time is worth money, whether that time is spent on a phone or not, it is still work, and a lot of times it is still hard work. And in MLMs, if you're not recruiting, it's not getting rewarded. And then 90% of the time, even if you are recruiting, it's also not getting rewarded because you haven't been able to build up your team as much as you would need to see real income from an MLM. Because what happens is, as your downline or the people that you recruit make money, so do you, because you get a percentage of all of that. And oftentimes these big bonuses or these free trips or free cars that people talk about, also quotation marks around free because the cars and the vacations are not free. A lot of times people have to pay for them, or they only get part of it covered, or that's a whole other thing that I could go into on like the free cars and free trips and things like that. But a lot of times these free bonuses are only offered to people who are working their way up in the company, which means they are building a downline. You are not going to see those bonuses without it. And again, I want to stress that if you are coming into the comments and telling me that this isn't true, you know for yourself, you've made money, I just want you to reflect on that, because if you are truly part of that 1%, 0.4 to 1% of people who are making money in an MLM, what is the cost of that? Where is that money coming from? Because that money is coming from the backs of the people who are underneath you, who are working hard and making no money or losing money. So now I want to talk about some common arguments for MLMs. One I hear a lot from people who are thinking about joining MLMs, I've heard this from family members, from friends, is that they just want to join so that they can get a discount on the products. Or people will tell you that, oh, you don't have to sell, just join my team and then you can just get a discount on the products since you already love them. Why not just get like 40% off or whatever it is they're offering? And as we talked about with the products, I mean, let's be honest here, the products are already really overpriced and underregulated, so that discount that you're getting on the products probably, if anything, just evens out to what the product should actually be worth. And to be perfectly honest with you, in all of the MLMs that I've ever been exposed to, I have never found one that offers a product that I don't feel like there is a cheaper and more ethical dupe for that you could buy somewhere else for probably a lot less money and higher quality. Another huge appeal of MLMs is the idea that you can work from your phone at home. And trust me, I completely understand this appeal. I mean, I literally just quit my day job so that I can work from home on my phone and on social media and all of that. I understand why it could be so beneficial and so amazing and such a dream for people to be able to control their own schedule, make their own schedule, work from home, and feel like they are building something that they are building for themselves. But I just don't think that MLMs are the way to go about it. As we have seen, your chances of making money are very slim to none, and you will end up putting countless hours into it. Trust me, I know how easy it is to kind of like lose track of the work that you're doing, because it doesn't feel like work in the sense of like you go to a job and you clock in and clock out when you're just like scrolling on your phone or messaging or posting. That doesn't feel like work, but it adds up and it is work, and your time is worth money. And there are tons of other ways that you can work from home that allow you flexibility and allow you a real paycheck. Another very common tactic used by MLMs is people in MLMs talking about how much success that they have had. So many people will say, well, my friend or my aunt or my neighbor or whoever had a ton of success in this MLM. And I just want people to take a step back and ask if they're sure about that. Because legally, people in MLMs are not supposed to make income claims. They're not supposed to show you their pay stubs, tell you how much that they make, promote that on social media. They aren't even supposed to make lifestyle claims like, I was able to quit my job to do this, or this bought me this car, or I was able to stay at home with the kids and do this. And the reason that legally this is prohibited is because it's so common for people to say this and for it to not be true. MLMs promote a culture of faking the lifestyle and the income to get people to want to join. So I think it's important when you are seeing these claims or hearing people talk about this that you take a step back and think to yourself whether it's a possibility that the person that you know or you're seeing on social media has just gotten kind of caught up in this narrative that is being told to them that they need to live this lifestyle so that people will want to join their teams. Again, that is not to say that they are a bad person for doing this, but considering the numbers, there's a very small chance that the person actually is experiencing huge success in the business, unless of course they got in early, which is usually how people make most money in MLMs. They either get in early or they come in with some sort of a following anyway, like already have a social media presence where they can quickly recruit a lot of people underneath them. And let's say it happens to be that your friend, neighbor, aunt, etc. happens to be the 0.4 to 1% of people who is experiencing a lot of success. Again, at what cost? Another argument that pro-MLMers use is corporate America is set up like a pyramid too. And yeah, that's true. I think you could argue that for like most structures in life is that there's usually like one person at the top and then it kind of trickles down. But a pyramid scheme isn't just because there is a person at the top and then there's people at the bottom. It is not that simple. That is not what makes a pyramid scheme. What makes that different is the fact that the people at the bottom of a pyramid scheme are losing money or making no money. The people at the bottom of a corporate system are still making a paycheck. Now we could go on, and this is a whole other conversation about capitalism and living wages and what that actually means. But the reality of it is that people in the corporate system at least are going to do a job, and they either are paid salary or hourly, and they know that they are going to get a paycheck. They don't have to pay to be a part of that job or that business. They don't have to continually buy product to have that job, and they know that they are guaranteed that money. That is not the case in an MLM. The people at the top are making a lot of money and the people at the bottom are losing money. Plus, I also want to point out that MLMs do have their own corporate structure as well. There is a CEO to an MLM, there is HR, there are people on the background, there are people making the website and doing the marketing. It is not just a bunch of distributors. Another thing that I hear a lot from people when they're talking about wanting to join an MLM is that they want to start their own business. And I think that this is awesome. I am so for people wanting to start their own business, having an idea, wanting to work for themselves and to do something beautiful with an idea that they have. But an MLM is not that. Like I've said multiple times in this video, you don't own your own business when you work for an MLM. You are a contracted worker. And to be perfectly honest with you, that money that you spend to invest into being a contracted worker for an MLM could be spent on creating your own small business. I started the ATB with like $100. I didn't invest a lot of money in it for a while. All I really bought was the rights to my domain and my website. And from there, I was able to start my own business. I did everything on my phone and I just used the lighting from the window. I didn't start investing in a light and camera and all of this extra stuff until the ATB started to make more money. I also want to talk about some like signs that you're either a part of an MLM or you're looking at an MLM or you're being recruited into an MLM, because I feel like now that the anti-MLM movement is getting larger on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all those different places, people are becoming more aware of MLMs and the dangers and the unethical practices that are involved. And because of that, distributors are getting even more sneaky with how they are trying to recruit people. And I want to make sure that you know what to look out for. The first is a big one, and that is whether you have an upline or a downline. Oftentimes this is referred to as a team, building a team, being a part of a team. Any of those, big red flag. If you have a minimum monthly quota that you either need to sell or you need to spend that money in order to remain active in the company. There's more emphasis put on recruiting than there is on selling the actual product or service itself. And on top of that, you are encouraged pretty much constantly by your team or upline or people who are next to you to recruit the people close to you to be a part of your team as well. Even if the people around you have already stated they're not interested. You're expected to live and breathe the company. That is all you talk about. That is all your friends in the company talk about. And that is like the one thing that connects you. And then I also think there is a lot to be said about just trusting your gut feeling when something doesn't feel right. One of the times that someone tried to recruit me into an MLM, it was set up in a very sneaky way. It was Cutco. They phrased it like it was going to be an interview. They had an application process, and something about it just did not feel right to me. And at the time, I was even underage. I was 16, which it's illegal for them to be trying to recruit me at that age anyway. But I remember I had no idea what an MLM was, but something about it just felt weird and something like I didn't want to do. And now looking back years later, knowing what that was, it feels absolutely gross and icky to me, but I'm also so thankful that even though technically none of those warning signs were there, I trusted my gut. Let's go ahead and talk about why I don't recommend MLMs as a side hustle. Like I said earlier in this video, I have nothing against distributors personally. None of this is meant to be a personal attack. Anytime that I talk out against MLMs or I tell people that I don't think that they should join an MLM, it is not because I hate all MLMers or I think that they are all bad people. It's because I feel like since I have a platform, I need to be real and honest with the knowledge that I have and let people know of the unethical practices that MLMs engage in and the risks that they might be running if they decide to join one. And for me, something that I have said throughout this video, the number one reason I don't recommend MLMs as a side hustle is because you are going to make no money. And if you happen to be one of that slight little 0.4% who does make money or doesn't lose money in an MLM, it's because other people below you are, and I don't think that that's okay. I also don't support MLMs as a side hustle because of how underregulated the products are, how harmful that they can be, the claims that aren't true about them, and also just the way that they are marketed by their distributors that can be really dangerous and harmful to people. Another reason that I don't support MLMs as side hustles is that they target groups of people who they see as vulnerable and they exploit those vulnerabilities. If you're a stay-at-home mom and they know that, chances are they're gonna recruit you by talking about how amazing it could be for you to make your own income while you're still staying home with the kids, and you could contribute or have your own spending money and not have to rely on your partner. They also might look at it as you'll have this amazing group of supportive and wonderful women who just want to be your friend, because they know that oftentimes people who are stay-at-home moms can sometimes struggle with making other friends, staying connected to other moms, staying connected to other people in their life. And they use this knowing that this is going to manipulate someone into wanting to join. They do this with college students too. If you're a college student, you can work even when you are in classes or on campus, and you only have to work from your phone. You don't have to go anywhere. You get to do social media. They'll appeal to the younger people who want to do social media, who see these YouTubers and vloggers and all of these people who are quitting their jobs and moving to LA in order to do YouTube, and they'll make it seem like that is a possibility for you too with this MLM, when that's just not the case. I've even seen people in MLMs target people with disabilities, saying that you can make money from home if your disability prevents you from being able to go and work someplace in person and maintain that kind of a corporate job. They'll talk about how you can create your own income, make your own money from being at home, being on your phone, knowing that, again, the statistics say that that's just not the case. And another really gross part about how they recruit people with disabilities is they'll tell them to talk about how the products helped them with their disabilities. I see this so often, and I think it is so gross, where people will say, oh, like, you have this disability, you have this sickness, you have cancer, you have PCOS, you have anything like this. Use that and talk about how these products helped you with that, so that people like you will also want to buy these products. When again, there is no scientific backing to these claims that they help with these things. They know it's manipulative and it's gross. The whole point of this is to say that people in MLMs often recognize what people in these certain groups might be looking for, and those things that might make them more vulnerable to certain manipulation tactics or certain ideas or certain things that they might be looking for in life, and they exploit that. And they don't exploit that to try to help the person, they exploit it to try to help themselves, to build their downline, and therefore make more money. Whew. Okay, so that is it for today's video. Honestly, I could just keep going on, and I could probably like make so many subtopics about this one topic. So you can probably hear this in the background. Sorry, I got my Dunkin'. But overall, I really just hope that this video helps to clear up my stance on MLMs, talk about why I don't support them, give some facts and some context to them as well. At the end of the day, obviously, you are a human being who can decide what you want to do for yourself, but I also think it's really important to expose the truth about what this business practice is like, so that people can make an informed decision for themselves and understand the manipulation that is going on. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful or educational or anything like that, please remember to give it a big thumbs up. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, helps boost this video to the top. That way more people can find this content. And I will see you all next time. Bye.